After failing to maintain Cliff Kingsbury as the new offensive coordinator here in Las Vegas, they were forced to pivot in a different direction, and they ended up choosing Luke Getsy as the new offensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders going forward. A very interesting move that, in my opinion, changes everything that I thought was going to happen here for the Raiders this offseason. Now, what I mean by that is I think this is going to change the outcome of who the quarterback is going to be. Now, for a little bit there, I started to believe that with the Bears wanting to go all in on Caleb Williams, leaving, a guy like Justin Fields open to a trade, I felt like the Raiders were probably one of the favorites to land him. However, we just got some big news, and maybe you would think, oh yeah, Luke Getsy coming over here to the Raiders, maybe they want to go out and bring in Fields to, pair him back up. However, I think it may be the complete opposite. And here's why. The Raiders actually came out and said, the Bears having one of the worst offenses in football over the last couple of years, they don't think it was on Luke Getsy. They didn't say who it was on, but I feel like they were starting or trying to, establish that it was maybe the quarterback or maybe the head coach. However, with that being said, there's also other rumors going around the league, in a certain point in time where Justin Fields came out and said it was the coaches that had me playing robotic and had me playing at a bad level and didn't have me playing in the right system. So with that being said, Justin Fields to the Raiders seems unlikely and seems like the Raiders are going into a different direction. But I want you guys to do me a favor. Before we go in and deep dive Luke Getsy and, kind of learn him, meet him for the first time and see what he's going to bring here to the Raiders, do me a quick favor and comment down below your number one option at quarterback. Who do you want the Raiders to get? Aidan O'Connell, keep him as a starter. You want to go out and bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, maybe still Justin Fields, Jayden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penn. I mean, there's so many options. Who do you guys think should be the starting quarterback for the Raiders next season? But without any further ado, let's jump right into, who Luke Getsy really is. Now, one good thing I will say about Luke Getsy is he really knows how to get a rushing attack going. Now, as you know, if you're a Raiders fan, running the ball is definitely not the strong suit for the Raiders. And over the past couple of years, Luke Getsy has gotten this team, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, Dante Foreman, some guys who aren't great running backs. They've led this team to being a top 3 rush attack, right? This season, they ranked number 2. They're the second best rushing offense in football this year in terms of rush yards per game, but also number 11 in rushing touchdowns per game. This is what the Raiders, need to be better at, right? So when you look at the Raiders offense from last season, they ranked number 28th, almost dead last in yards per carry. They ranked number 30th, almost dead last in rush yards per game, and number 21 in rushing touchdowns per game. Guys, that changes under Luke Getsy. That changes completely. And like I said, you look at a guy like Khalil Herbert here, right? You look at a guy like Roschon Johnson. You look at a guy like Dante Foreman. Those guys are nowhere near as good as a guy like Josh Jacobs. Now, listen, I don't know if Josh Jacobs will return to this football team next year, right? I know a lot of Raiders fans don't think he will, but comment down below real quick. Do you think Josh Jacobs should be or should sign an extension with the Raiders? If not, comment down below maybe a free agent like Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon or whoever, maybe in the draft as well, Braylon Allen. Who do you think should be the next Raiders running back, if not Josh Jacobs? Now, another reason why I actually do like Luke Getsy over here to the Las Vegas Raiders is because this guy right here, Davante Adams. Now, you might be like, what's the correlation? Well, actually, Luke Getsy coached the Packers for a good chunk of his career, and he's worked with guys like Davante Adams. He's worked with guys, some of the best wide receivers over there with Aaron Rodgers. He's worked with those guys, right? So he knows what it takes to coach up a good wide receiver, and he gets one back here in Davante Adams. But not only that excites me, but the fact that when you look at this wide receiver room, they're stacked, right? They have guys that are going to be really good football players. I mean, for one, you have Davante Adams. 2, you have a guy right here in Jacoby Myers who is coming off an absolute great season. And then you got Michael Mayer. And then you got Trey Tucker, who I think could be an absolute animal in a couple of years from now. I think Trey Tucker has what it takes to be a massive wide receiver for the Raiders going forward. Guys, before we get into the next reason, I actually do like Luke Getsy. Do me a big favor and hit that like button just so we can help get this video out to more Raiders fans around the world, right? But also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Raiders for the rest of the season, the offseason, and everything you guys can think of. But also, it is free. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe, and you'll be notified every time we post Raiders videos from here on out. Lastly, if you want to see more Raiders videos, just comment down below saying more Raiders, right? Say more Raiders, and that'll help me let me know, or that will let me know that you guys actually are enjoying the Raider content. But man, I am excited for this Raiders team next season. I think they can be fun. I think they can be explosive, but it all depends on who the quarterback is next year. And like I said before, ton of options. Comment down below your favorite one. Lastly, make sure you guys go check out BetUS. It is my favorite sports book on the market. They have a live casino, a live sports casino, a regular sports casino, and they have horse racing as well that you can bet on. Absolutely amazing, guys. They'll match your first deposit up to 125%, basically giving you free money to play with. And they did just give away Super Bowl tickets, but that just goes to show how much they're willing to give away basically for nothing. Go sign up, use my promo code in the description, and go make some money, man. It is so much fun. But with that being said, let's get back to the video. Right? And then you don't even talk about Hunter Renfrow yet, and you know, Josh Jacobs out the backfield. This Raiders team has weapons. This Raiders team can move the football with the right offensive scheme. Is Luke Getsy the guy to get this offense going? I don't know, right? He hasn't had too much success as a play caller in the NFL yet, but when you talk about where this team is talent-wise, they're a really good football team, right? And I think them bringing back a guy like Antonio Pierce helps them. You could see the difference, the switch of mentality from Josh McDaniels to Antonio Pierce. If Luke Getsy is the right hire, this could mean everything for the Raiders going forward. Okay, and I just want to be honest with you guys. I want to be transparent. One of the reasons I'm a little bit concerned about Luke Getsy is the way he's been developing quarterbacks. And obviously, there's only been one really to show, and that's Justin Fields. So I don't really know if it's maybe a Justin Fields problem, if it's a Luke Getsy problem, if it's a Chicago Bears just offense in general problem. However, the development of Justin Fields hasn't been amazing. I feel like he had a pretty good year this year in terms of a little bit of a development, but beforehand, it looked really bad, you know, when Luke Getsy was here. So that's probably one of the major reasons I'm concerned about Luke Getsy, and I'd probably rather have a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, right? But in terms of the running game, I really like it. However, the major thing to look at here is if you have a young quarterback, right, an Aidan O'Connell, a Jayden Daniels, a Caleb Williams, a Drake May, how good is Luke Getsy going to be fitting them into, you know, quote-unquote, their system, the way they need to play football, rather than the way he wants them to play football? Because that was one of the biggest concerns between Justin Fields and Luke Getsy. Justin Fields didn't think that Luke Getsy was playing him the right way, the way he should be playing, right? But then Luke Getsy and other guys say, well, I don't think it was our problem. I don't think it was our fault that our offense or passing game wasn't as good as it could have been. Now, I don't know what that says. I don't know if they're blaming it on Justin Fields. I don't know if they're blaming it on the head coach. I don't know what it is. But someone's at fault, right? So that is probably the biggest thing I'm concerned about. You know, Luke Getsy does have, you know, former playing time as a quarterback. He never play at the NFL level, but he's played at Akron and threw for over 6,100 yards, 41 touchdowns. He had 23 interceptions with 119 passer rating. Not bad at all, right? Having a former quarterback helps them be able to go through decisions, helps them develop a little bit, but he needs to prove it, right? He needs to be able to show the world, the Raiders fans, that yes, he can take a young quarterback and develop him, unless you go out and get a guy like Kirk Cousins. Unless you go out and get a guy like Ryan Tannehill or Russell Wilson, who maybe doesn't need that extra development. But if you get a rookie, a young guy, that's the main reason this could concern me. Now, at first glance, I like the hiring. There's some good, there's some bad, but I like the potential. Now, the biggest factor, the biggest thing that I love about this hiring here for the Raiders is the fact that their running game should be a lot better, especially if you pair up, you know, a guy like Jayden Daniels or Caleb Williams, or, you know, a guy that can really get out the pocket and run as well alongside Josh Jacobs. I think their running game could be really good, even if you have a guy like Jimmy G or a guy like Aidan O'Connell or a guy like whoever it may be, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, right? I still think the running game can be good because Luke Getsy has proven for a while now that he can get a running game going. Even without a scrambling quarterback, he did it over there in, Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He helped them get their running game going when they needed it, right? So I feel like that is a major factor, the running game alone. Another thing I like is he's been a coach's wide receiver. He has coached this guy, Davante Adams. He's coached Jordy Nelson. He's coached some of the best wide receivers in Green Bay during that time, right? So the fact that he's done that, he's been there, he's helped, I think can help a guy like Davante again. I think he can help a guy like Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, right? I think he can really help Trey Tucker out a lot. I think he can help Hunter Renfrow and Michael Mayer and all these guys that need an extra kick, the extra jump, the motivation to become better wide receivers, right? So I like that sense. Now, he struggled in the past, so though that's the biggest thing I'm scared about is his developing, right? If you bring in a young quarterback, if you can't bring in a veteran like Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill, you bring in a young guy. The way he develops a quarterback is really, really crucial and vital to a young quarterback's success going into their career. So if you bring in a guy like Jayden Daniels, Luke Getsy cannot ruin that situation. But with that being said, there you go. That is Luke Getsy, right? Played quarterback at Akron, went over, coached as a wide receiver coach, as a QB coach a little bit there in Green Bay for a little bit. Then went on to take on, did get interviewed for a Broncos head coaching job a couple years back. Then ended up signing as the OC for the Bears, where he led them to one of the best rushing attacks over the past 2 years. However, has not done well at all in terms of developing Justin Fields. Luke Getsy does get another shot, right? But the biggest question mark right now to me, who will the quarterback be? Will it be Aidan O'Connell? Will it be, a rookie? Will it be Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? That's the biggest question. Comment down below the number 1 if you love the Luke Getsy signing or hiring. Comment down below the number 2 if you hate it. And comment down below the number 3 if you're like, okay, I guess we'll see what happens. But with that being said, guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.